Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Welcome back to Patch Note Breakdown. So we're doing these more often, mainly because, well, back in the day I always said I only do them on big patches, or patches that have like a lot to them. And for the past years of League of Legends, that's not been a thing on average. League of Legends has always worked on 2 massive patches a year. That it was mid-season patch, pre-season patch. They were the massive patches, and then not really anything else of significant in between. But as you can see in the first sentence here, welcome to patch 8.6, the next big patch in our little patch, big patch cycle. So Riot announced that in this season, they're going to try out doing a little bit of a patch and then a massive patch. So instead of like having mid-season that so much changes, they'll change stuff throughout the season to make it more organic, which I think is pretty interesting. I don't think that's a problem. It does make it a little bit harder for casual players to keep up with all the changes if they constantly are making changes. But let's get into it, I guess. So the first thing that's going to be happening, I'll just say, so there's some mid-patch updates. So Duskblade, champions, items, summon spells, runes, twisted Treeline. They're doing some stuff with 3s. One for all, honor, parties, and bug fixes. And we can see what champions. Okay, so let's just get into it. Kaiser has been buffed a little bit, so obviously she's, well, actually been nerfed and buffed at the same time. She's quite strong in mid-late game. She can one-shot a lot of things in the game. She can one-shot most AD carries. She can one-shot most mages in the game, but her lane phase is incredibly weak. And she already did get buffed, obviously, last patch. But they're giving her a little bit of a nerf to the base damage, just overall. And then they're making her Q also have more mana. Wait, that's wrong. They've typed that wrong. They've based attack damage decrease, yes. Q cooldown increase. That isn't cooldown, that's mana cost. So there's a bit of a typo there. But yeah, nerfs to Kaiser, apparently. I'm not sure it did. I'm not sure if her range buff came through, because that's really what that champion needed. It's her biggest weakness in lane. But I don't really see many Kaisers because she's not known to be that strong. But let's get into the first big item change, is Duskblade of Draktharr, which obviously is like a staple item for pretty much every AD assassin in the game. So this could matter quite a lot, depending what they're doing to it. Night Stalker's damage decreased and equalized between ranged and melee champions. Oh. Melee basic attacks instantly kill wards disabled by Duskblade. That's cool. Blackout won't trigger during Wed's. Oh, okay. So there's just like a little bit of bug fixes. But what they're doing here, yeah, like Night Stalker, which is the proc, by the way, that you get from Duskblade, is responsible for too much of the damage in its core users. Yeah. Making them overbearing when they can purchase it early. Yeah, it's a relatively cheap item. And if you want to go for Snowball, you rush Draktharr. If you're not snowballing, you'll buy Yumu's first. That's kind of what happens. You can purchase early. And underwhelming if they delay the purchase or don't purchase the item. Yes, we're pulling some of the strict nuking power off the item and putting some of that strength into item's vision control. That's kind of cool. All right, so the damage itself has been halved in the early game, basically, and even lowered in significantly in late game. So this item has just had a nerf to it. But they are in the damage. But then what they're doing to it is Drakthar's another ability is it can sense wards every now and then. It's like once a minute or something like that. It can just sense a ward and you can have vision of that ward. Well, if you sense a ward and you attack it, it'll die instantly instead of attacking it like 3 or 4 times to kill it, depending what it is. And then it also won't trigger if you've got the red sweeper going on at the same time, because obviously you just waste your Draktharr proc. It's just an interesting change. Talon players, Zed players will be really unhappy about this because that's a lot of their early game damage. So, rip. Graves. People have been wondering if Graves is ever going to come back. His base damage has gone up significantly, and his magic resist growth has doubled. So that means instead of getting 2.4 attack damage per level on just natural, he gets 3 attack damage per level, and he gets 1 magic resist per level instead of 0.5. So it's decent. It does help, trust me. And then W has been, the wind-up damage has been decreased, so it gets there quicker. and then the vision reduction applies more quickly. So it gets there quicker, and also they get blinded more quicker. So it's just a little bit of a quality of life change to Graves. Do I think it's going to make him mainstream again? Probably not this. They probably want to see what this does to, like, the Graves mains who still play Graves. And if, you know, if it still doesn't make him great, then may give him another buff and stuff like that. Kayn. And again, not really seeing many Kayns. W and R ratios increased. Maybe it's because he's weak. So the R ratio's gone up by 0.1. And the R ratio... Oh, the W ratio, sorry, has gone up by 0.1. And the R ratio has gone up by 0.25. Significant. Again, a lot of the... Well, what we're about to see, and just as a guess, we're going to start seeing Kayn, Kha'Zix, and them type of champions because they just got their Draktharr nerfed. And all the Draktharr champions now will have less damage. So they're probably just giving them a little bit more damage numbers. Very little buffs, but it will make up the fact that Draktharr got nerfed. So Kayn got a little bit of a buff. Same thing's happening to Kha'Zix by the looks of it. Q base damage is down, however. The ratio has been increased. Bonus versus isolated targets increased. And W bonus damage to monsters removed. Wow, really? Kha'Zix doesn't have the easiest jungle clear because he's not amazing at killing multiple camps at once, but his W was the one thing that always could help him, and they're removing that? That's a bit odd. But what looks to be they're doing is, like, at the moment, the monster damage in W ties Kha'Zix to the jungle. We'd like to give him a chance to spread his wings elsewhere. They want to make Kha'Zix a laner. Okay. Well, if you don't know, when Kha'Zix first came out, he was actually a mid laner. I doubt he's going to be a mid laner again. I think the game has moved on for that type of play. It's too predictable. Again, back in Season 3, when I think Kha'Zix was a mid, not everybody wasn't as good as they are now. People have learnt more over the years, so I don't think that will work. Possibly top lane, but, like, how the hell would a Kha'Zix lane against a Darius? Like, he's just not going to. So, I don't know. To me, that's Riot hoping, but I don't see it myself personally. But the damage, base damage has gone down. There's the ratios being increased, and there's the isolating bonus, and that's a significant buff. So if you find somebody alone, you will probably murder their face the later the game goes, because when you have more AD. So that's significant. Find people alone is based. They're wanting to make him more of a pure assassin, really. So there we go. Misfortune. Does anybody guess why there's a misfortune buff? Is it because there's a certain skin coming out on this patch? Oh, that's brilliant, that is. Riot have said for the past couple of years, no, we don't balance the game to skin launches. But every single time there's a big skin launch, a champion gets buffed. It's uncanny if that's a coincidence. Yep, alright. Good job, Riot. Nocturne. Our base damage increased at later ranks. Our damage... wait, really? They're buffing Nocturne? See, Nocturne is still a niche pick. I think even the last patch note video, I even said I don't think he's going to become mainstream. I genuinely don't think he's going to. But I have seen Nocturne mains recently one-shot people. Like, and there's nothing they can do. He presses R, he goes on top of them, and they're dead. So... I don't know, that's a buff to Nocturne when I've actually been seeing him do quite well. So, look out for Nocturne is what I'd say. Rengar, and again, we are, talking about all the champions that have Draktharr, obviously. Q damage ratio increased, E damage ratio increased, R damage ratio increased, and several Q and E bug fixes. So I was really hyped when Rengar got his revert, because that's the old Rengar that I enjoyed. I played him in Unranked Diamond. From memory, I played jungle, and I felt really weak in that episode. You may remember it. I was like, Jesus, I just can't kill anything. Yeah, apparently Rengar was just really weak. So I will probably do another episode of him pretty soon, but I'll most likely try to do it in top lane. Because, yeah, he was really weak, and now maybe he can get back into it. And there was a lot of bugs with this champion. So, like, sometimes you just didn't do damage, and you're like, what? So I'm not going to go through them all individually, or we'll do that really quick. So that's a significant-ish... Wait, what's happening there? Frosty lockout for Q and E from 0.25 to 0.1 seconds, so it's quicker. Get the combo off quicker. 0.1 upgrade on the Q with all these bug fixes. E has been a 0.1 increase, 0.1 increase also for the empowered, and for the R, leap bonus damage is gone up by 0.2. So again, a lot of these are just because the Drakthar's got nerfed, so they're giving champions that would build Draktharr a little bit of a damage buff. But, yeah, that's interesting. Shaco. Q now grants Shaco's next basic. Again, it's a Draktharr champion. You're seeing Talon. I predicted this right at the start. So he built Draktharr, getting a bit of a buff. Talon, massive Draktharr champion. Wukong, massive Draktharr champion. So they're all just getting their little individual buffs. There's Zed. It's literally predictable. So yeah, I don't want to go through them all because it's just very little tiny little minor buffs because of that item. It's that simple. Kaiser. Hello. Oh, so here's her changes. So I was wondering earlier, like, did they do it? Okay, so in this patch, Kaiser's range has now been increased to 525, which if you don't think that's significant, it is. That's like 1 or 2 steps forward more, which is decent. You know, that will give Kaiser more laning pressure. And that will make me want to play her in Unranked Diamond in the next couple episodes. So there's that. And then her ratios, it looks like, have been basically doubled in the early game. It was 0.1, it's now 0.2, then 0.25. So yeah, it's a decentish buff. And then also they're buffing her ability power ratio because they probably are seeing people not play ability power Kaiser, which is what I said when she first got relaunched. Certain game designers have these really grand ideas of going, my champion isn't going to have a set role. She's going to be free. She's going to build whatever people want. No, they're not. It's just simply not going to happen. There is always going to be the strongest way to play a champion, and that's the way people are going to do it. Why would you play, like, say, Kaiser AP when there are stronger AP champions and Kaiser's best way to play is AD? You just simply wouldn't unless you're kind of trolling or you don't really care about climbing. It's just not happening, and that is just game designers wanting to be different. It's not going to happen, so there's that. Her Q got increased in range as well. Again, more AP ratios. Again, it doesn't really matter. Unless, like, they are making a change with one item, which we'll see in a minute, but still. The E has been given anything? Okay, so less of a cast time, which would help, because sometimes you just feel like they're running around, not really doing anything. Increased movement speed, and increased maximum movement speed as well. Killer Instinct has been widened, so you can teleport at a bigger range. I actually spoke very briefly to the designer of this champion. It might be Riot Jag, it might be his name if memory serves correct. And I actually made a suggestion of this champion, saying the more plasma that they have on an enemy, the wider the circle to teleporting them should be. And he kind of just dismissed it. And I was like, I thought that was a good idea. Like, if you get, like, 2 auto attacks and, like, or 3 auto attacks, they have 3 plasma on them, and they flash away or something, they get away. Because they have 3 plasma, you should have, like, a massive circle to teleport them to. That would be interesting. Like, that would be awesome. But instead, it's just this permanently same size circle. So, I don't know. That was my suggestion. I gave it to the designer, and he just instantly shut it down. And that's, I would say, the one cool thing about being a YouTuber when it comes to game balance and design is a lot of the time you do get responses from rioters who are making these changes, who are designing champions. If I've got a question, I don't think I've ever been ignored about a new champion or something about balance. I've always gotten an answer, which is quite cool. Like, I will say that Riot is quite good at replying to people, and I will say, you know, maybe it's because I'm a YouTuber. I don't know what it's like for people with no following, but at least for me, I've always gotten responses. Sometimes, sure, it's not the responses you want, but at least it's a response. You know, if you try to talk to someone in Blizzard about a change that they're doing to hunters or something, you basically have 0 chance. So, yeah, that is one thing Riot do really well. My boy Lee Sin obviously got hurt really hard from Tracker's Knife getting removed, and there's no Sightstone in the game anymore. So Lee Sin, patch after patch, has had some difficulties. But I will say, the last couple patches that I personally played Lee Sin, I didn't even build Tracker's Knife. I went pure damage and just went for farming kills on people. So it still can be done. But here we go. So it actually says, losing Tracker's Knife has taken away some of the consistency of Lee Sin's playmaking potential. We're looking to put some of that back in his kit. Okay. What are they doing? I'm actually interested. So his passive first attack energy return is now got scaling, so it's not just flat energy return, which is quite nice. And the second one has given him a little bit more too. That will help in dueling potentials. Sometimes on Lee Sin, you felt like, oh god, my energy's run out. Well, this actually with auto attacks involved will get your energy back, especially when you hit level 13, a hell of a lot quicker. So that's actually pretty decent. His Q range has actually been increased. Okay, that's kind of cool by 100, and that's actually a pretty good buff. And his R damage has also been increased significantly in late game. I don't really think that I don't think I agree with the consistency of his playmaking, because what does this do about his playmaking? Like, it just gives him more damage and dueling potential. That isn't playmaking. The playmaking element of Lee Sin was using his kick to position enemies. To use a ward to jump on the other side to kick them in the right direction. That was his playmaking, and they have done nothing about that. So that's a bit of a weird wording for me. It's like what they should have said was, we've taken away some of his playmaking, so we're going to give him more individual strength, because that's what they're doing. They're not doing playmaking, they're giving him individual strength. So there's that. Lucian, W base damage increased, R damage ratio increased. Again, Lucian is really he's a good AD carry. He's really fun to play. He just sucks in late game. Always has. He's not that type of champion. He doesn't really have a scaling item build. So his damage has gone up an okay amount. This will definitely help his early lane phase, which again is still pretty strong already. And then his damage has gone up a significant amount as well. So he might be okay. Like, he become more of a lane bully, which is that is the point of Lucian. Get ahead in lane, finish the game early. Because if you go to late game against a Varus or a Tristana or a Cogmore as a Lucian, you're basically screwed. So there's that. Quinn, I'm going to be honest, I don't really care. I don't mean to offend, but I'm just not interested. In order to make that champion work, they need to rework her. Because she's a champion without a role. That's the problem with Quinn. She's not really a top laner. She's not really a jungler, and she's not really an AD carry. She's not really anything. So she's not going to be good at anything. So they need to give her the Gangplank treatment, because Gangplank was that a while ago, years ago. You could play Bank Plank, Tank Plank, and Gangplank didn't have a set thing to do. They reworked him, gave him a set thing to do, and look at Gangplank now. Very strong champion. So that's what they need to do to Quinn. Rakan. Q and R damage ratios increased. What? Really? Rakan is currently struggling when paired with most marksmen. The obvious exception... Oh, so they're saying he's too weak unless he's with a Xayah. Okay. Interesting. The two lovebirds are doing pretty well together. We're looking to make Rakan more impactful on his own without further increasing his strength alongside his partner. Good luck with that. So if they're already doing strong and then you're buffing them... Alright. So it's a 0.1 ratio, 0.2 ratio increase on W, another 100 range, and they have slightly nerfed the bonus range towards Xayah. But that's a decent buff. If he's already doing well with Xayah, this isn't really that big of a nerf, because it will give Rakan more individual strength, which is pretty good. Alright, and then Xayah herself. So maybe they're doing the change here. When pressing W... both of their deadly plumage strike the enemy, only their own deadly plumage. Wait, what? Xayah Rakan's basic attacks no longer trigger feathers from each other's deadly plumage. Oh, so they're separating them, basically. They're not making them as linked. Which I guess is the problem if you're designing champions to work perfectly together. They may be a bit too strong together because you're designing two champions to perfectly align. So they're nerfing that a little bit. New item, well, kinda. It's called Shurelya's Reverie, so like the reviving Shurelya. So there used to be an item called Shurelya's, it might have just been called Shurelya's, I don't remember, but it was an old item years ago. So it's a new item, and this is where if you are genuinely new to the game, you'll have no idea. But yeah, there are items that they used to have, and the Shurelya's has not been an item for, I'd say, 2 or 3 years. They bring the item back, but in a different way. It's not the same item. It's a different... They basically just reuse the name for nostalgic reasons. So there's that. So it costs 2,100 gold. It builds from an Aetherwisp chemical gem and 450. It gives it 40 ability power, 200 health, 10% cooldown reduction, 8% movement speed. And the active is grants user and nearby allies plus 40% movement speed for 3. That's what Shurelya's... It is the same item. Shurelya's was a movement speed buff for your whole team. So if you pressed Shurelya's when everybody was nearby, it sped everybody up. It was like an AoE... what's that tank item that speeds the user? Righteous Glory. It's an AoE Righteous Glory. So it is actually basically... Oh, well, they said it right here. It basically is a support Righteous Glory. That's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Well done. Welcome back, Shurelya's. Abyssal Mask. Aura radius decreased, potency increased. So the radius has been halved of where it actually affects, and that is the 10% damage increase of everybody in that radius. So that's been halved, which, you know, okay. The magic damage amplifier has although been buffed to 15% now because it's a smaller radius, make it more impactful in a smaller radius. Okay. It says hi Ornn. These changes also apply to Ornn's master upgrade. Okay. That's cool. Zeref's. Shield ratio has been nerfed and the shield duration has been nerfed. So they're thinking it's a little bit too strong. Deadman's Plate, what are they doing to it? Slow momentum. User no longer loses stacks when slowed. New. Now consumes all momentum on basic attack, even if at less than maximum stacks, dealing 1 damage per momentum consumed. Okay. The slow only triggers at max stacks. Okay. And basic attacks. Basic attacking now locks out momentum generation until your attack timer resets. Huh. Deadman's Plate is underperforming at the moment, and we're taking it a pass at giving it some love. While we do so, we'd like to sharpen its identity as the item for fighters, who really shine when they get the opportunity to maneuver around a fight, laying down damage. As such, we're going under the hood and tweaking the way DMP generates momentum, Deadman's Plate. If you're able to lock a target in place... Hello, Maokai Nautilus, and prevent them from kiting you that much, you won't get as much damage, and you're unlikely to get a lot of slows. On the other hand, if you're darting around a fight like Aurelia or Nocturne, you'll feel the full impact. Oh, okay, so they are literally... This is a bruiser item now. This is no longer a tank item. This is a bruiser item. So this is for Aurelia, Aurelia, Renekton, possibly Fiora, Jax... and this is no longer an item, probably for like Volibear, Sejuani. They probably won't use this anymore. Cool. Alright. Giving bruisers more of their own identity. Alright, Ginsu's has had a massive rework, which again, I don't really know why, but let's get into it. The cost has been decreased, the attack damage ability ratios have been decreased, base magic damage on hit decreased, ratio has been added, physical damage on hit added, and stack bonuses now scale with stats from other sources. Wow. Alright, so the total cost is now 3,000. You know, it used to be 3,600. It is now building out of an amp tome, recurve bow, and a pickaxe. It gives now 25 AD, 25 AP, so half the ability power, 10 less AD. The magic damage on hit has been like cut in a third base, but it now has an ability power ratio. It also now bonusly does a physical damage on hit, which it never used to do. So this is a pure hybrid damage item. It now ability power per stack. It used to give 4 flat ability power when you auto attack people with I think a maximum of 6 stacks you get. You used to get 4 AP per stack, so 4 times 6. Well, now you actually get 4% ability power per stack, which is going to be significantly more if you obviously build ability power. And then attack speed per stack is 8% total attack speed, which seems to not have changed even though they've crossed that out. It seems to be the exact same thing. But now they're also giving 4% attack damage and then rapid rage. At half stacks, melee champions' next basic attack fully stacks Rage Blade. So it's a massive buff to melee champions. Wow, okay. Well, there's going to be 2 champions that this item's broken with. The new Aurelia that has some AP scaling, so that will help her here, and Jax. Yeah, Aurelia and Jax both do hybrid damage, both potentially can build a bit of AP, a bit of AD, and both rely on attack speed. Literally, they're perfect items, so that's kind of interesting. Hextech GPL, cost decrease, simple as that. It's gone down by 200 gold. Again, this item is a bit weak, especially for the cost. It just isn't worth really buying. Statikk Shiv, energy proc damage decreased at higher levels. Lightning no longer deals bonus damage to minions. Oh, the wave clear's gone. So the proc damage has gone only down by 20, but yeah, it no longer does bonus damage to minions. And that's why you could see like a Tristana auto-attack one minion in late game, the whole minion wave just dies. It's like, oh. And then instead, so what they've done is taken some strength away from Statikk Shiv, and actually they're putting a bit of strength onto Rapid Fire Cannon. So they're increasing the proc damage by like 10 to 20 at minimum and max. Not a massive change, but there we go. Ignite has gone up in damage. Okay, interesting. And this is 100% true. Heal and Teleport have been outclassing Ignite for a while. So they're trying to have more aggro. So the damage has gone up by 10 at level 1 and actually at like a 95 at level 18. And remember, that is true damage. So that is significant. That's pretty good. Heal has been nerfed. That it's 30 seconds more until you can use it again. Okay. And rune is a brand new rune called Conqueror, and I have used this on the PBE, and it actually did seem quite good. And basically, it is after 4 seconds in combat, your first attack against enemy champions grants you 10 to 35 attack damage based on your level for 3 seconds, and converts 20% of your damage to champions as true damage. So what is this rune? Well, again, Riot have confirmed that they don't make changes based off one person or anything like that. But basically, this is Riot hearing the top lane drama that happened. So, again, a lot of people are like, oh, Shin did it. No, again, this type of thing is in the works for months. So this would have been a thing before the whole drama started. But it's definitely because they knew top lane was in not a great state. So this is for the bruisers who think that tanks simply outperform them, that they're giving you more AD to duel them, but the more significant thing is it gives you true damage as any champion in the game. That 20% of your damage will just become true damage, which is it's pretty damn good, especially when you're fighting against a tank. That means their armor doesn't get taken into consideration, their magic resist, that you're just doing true damage. So this is going to help, well, it actually might make bruisers too strong. I'm going to say that right now. We'll just have to wait and see. Bone plating has been nerfed to 3 seconds instead of 5. This is a new rune called Chrysalis. It's a new rune in the resistance row, resolve rune. And start the game with additional 60 health. When you get 4 takedowns, consume that health to gain an adaptive bonus of 9 attack damage or 15 ability power. Alright, so there we go. It's just like an early game, like if you basically, well, this is actually 4 tanks, isn't it? So, all bruisers. Yeah, actually that could be used for bruisers as well. Give you a bit more beefiness in the early game so you can survive ganks a bit more. When you get 4 takedowns, which I think would be kills or assists, you can then get a bonus 9 attack damage just for one little rune. So that could be interesting. They have removed Iron Skin and they have removed Mirror Shell. They are gone, which was the armor and magic resist runes, respectively. There's some upgrades. Twisted Treeline, what are they doing to it? Let's go very quickly. So they're adding some, or just doing updates on items, ancient coins in there, relic shield. So they're just adding support items basically. One for All is back, so the game mode that you all play the same champion on your team. Again, some people go, are you going to play it? I'll probably play it once or twice, but that's enough for me. Again, I don't find these modes that fun. They're just very gimmicky. And yeah, I'll play it once or twice. Maybe I'll record it. Maybe I'll play it with subscribers on stream. Who knows? But I wouldn't, maybe there'll be one video on the channel, but I don't think there's going to be a lot. But there's that. I'm not going to go through all of it. Honor. The requirements to move up from dishonorable to honor level 2 have been lowered. So basically, they're helping toxic people. So toxic people who got no honor to get back to being average honor, they're making it less harsh. Okay. Voice chat. Again, they're trying to make this a thing, which is a bit stupid. Again, it's only for parties at the moment, and Discord exists. So why would you use the in-game client? I don't know. Bug fixes, a lot of bugs if you want to go over those yourself. And then upcoming skins, we've got Gun Goddess Misfortune, Hextech Alistair, which is a gemstone skin, Piece of Delivery Severe, and Bird Dio Galio. I'll be definitely getting the Galio skin, and I probably will get the Misfortune skin. I have complained about it a lot, and I know I'm part of the problem. I'm a skin collector, just to kind of show everybody. And there's also quite a lot of chromas coming out. But yeah, I'm a skin collector. I always have been. I've got on this account 659 skins. I like skins, so I have to get the Misfortune skin. I even liked Misfortune. But the quality of the skin, sure, it's not as good as the other ultimates. And I know people going, it's a bit cheaper. Sure, but like, if I want to, the point to me of ultimate skins isn't to make it a bit cheaper. It's to be the most amazing skins possible. And it just isn't. It's not of the same quality. And a lot of people go, oh, but it's like 4 skins in one. And this is where I have a problem with it. It's not as good. Like, the whole gimmick of like, oh, you can have multiple skins in one. I hate that gimmick because it basically makes them lazy of going, oh, we don't need to make it really amazing because you have 4 skins in one. But the crazy thing with this Misfortune skin is each Misfortune... There's only 4 Misfortune skins, variants of it that you can choose in-game. Elementalist Lux, if I'm not mistaken, had like 8. Each Elementalist Lux looks better than, or looks higher quality than the Misfortune equivalents. And they are less Misfortune equivalents. And that is where I have a problem. And you know Riot know that the skin isn't very good. Because why would they lower the price? Unless they know. Unless they know it's not of the quality that people want. But that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed these patch note breakdowns. Let me know of all the changes that happened in today's patch. Anything you agree with, disagree with. Comment down below. Let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, and like the video as it does also help out. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.